taken this on to be one of her big projects, and she's amazing. She's been with us since 2022 and is really trying to help move along our cat programs. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Woody.
Good evening. Thanks again for coming. We really appreciate you having the chance to be with us. So we're moving on to just going ahead and start the presentation. Thank you very much. So just a little bit of background information. Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, Return strategy to support population control and health concerns of community cats has been an ongoing effort in the Palm Beach County since our first TNVR surgery in December of 2014. That's 1 decade ago. TNVR is a humane, non-lethal alternative to the trap and kill method to manage community cat populations. And in our program, community cats are humanely trapped, transported to spay-neuter facilities, vaccinated for rabies and core vaccines, given ectoparasite treatments for fleas and parasites, microchipped, and ear-tipped and tattooed for identification as sterilized. The cat is then returned home following full recovery and a good meal, which is generally the next day. Cats are evaluated for medical conditions while anesthetized, and reasonable efforts are made to help or rehome them while we have them with us. Our goal with TNVR is to create a stable population of sterilized cats that will decrease over time as they naturally age. Research fully supports that TNVR programs due to their significant benefits. TNVR promotes public health and safer communities by reducing the number of unvaccinated cats. Sterilized cats reduce the behaviors that lead to nuisance complaints. Males fight less, and females are able to thrive without an ongoing need to give birth and rear young. TNVR allows the county to work with community feeders and help, not hide, these animals. Finally, TNVR helps to keep the number of admitted cats in the shelter low, which preserves resources so we have the capacity to help more cats. This graph shows the steady progress that the TNVR program has made and achieved to increase cat life-saving over the past decade, taking save rates from a mere 20% of cats in 2013 to over 80% in 2023. It's a pretty massive increase. The last time this group had the opportunity to meet with Director Steele in late 2021, we heard many of your concerns. In summary, there was a lack of access to low-cost and complementary TNVR surgical operations, a lack of public awareness and support for trappers, a lack of knowledge of the current ordinances protecting community cats, and limited resources to support community trappers, which topped the list. In the graph included at the bottom of this slide shows the blue line of cat intakes with peaks that accompany our 3 kitten seasons in 2021. We then see a flattening of the curve noted in 2022 and the two peak season we saw in 2023. The orange line along the bottom represents our community cat intakes and the TNVR surgeries that are being consistently performed year-round with a peak of activity in August of 2022 and a monthly average of about 100 community cats. Since our last conversation at the end of 2021, additional focus and resources have gone into the community cat program. In response to the concerns about being only able to get a few trapped cats booked for any one time, the TNVR surgical appointments were opened to trappers to allow for larger numbers by a single trapper. At times, the county worked with trappers to focus on hot spots of community cats to get as many animals sterilized from one location as possible to have the greatest impact on that population. In addition to more surgical spots created at the HCC, we have contracted roughly 10,000 additional TNVR surgical opportunities with our partners, Tri-County, Animal Rescue League, Barky Pines, Furry Friends, and soon-to-be Darkster. And this helps to add capacity for sterilization to the entire community. As I mentioned, the most impactful way to address such a large and well-dispersed population of community cats is to trap and sterilize as many cats as possible in one area and start to build a corridor of sterilized populations. This is called targeted TNVR, and it was described in great detail at several of the cat health conferences in the fall of 2022 following the DC Cat Counts program, which was developed with wildlife biologists. In 2023, we started a targeted TNVR task force with our staff to try out different models of targeted trapping in our community. We started with the zip codes with the highest numbers of community cats, and we started working with property managers and HOAs. We used multi-day large event models. We used multi-institutional collaborations, and we also started more frequent, well-defined neighborhood trappings to create a corridor of community cats that are sterilized. We focused a group of employees in field, clinic, community programs, and customer service to work on the larger issues with Community Cats and build the program while still including our community. Which zip codes do we pick? We based the starting point of our targeted activities on the zip codes with the greatest number of reported cats to the county and scouted the areas with our Officer Black. In addition to the zip codes, our field team is able to find pop-up areas of concern that are included as single-day events. The West County team has been working through some of these pop-up areas this month to stem the tidal wave of kittens that come from this area. Since 2021, we've made some great progress identifying strategies and activities that are effective. We have plans to continue our efforts in key areas. The ACC has made a commitment to TNVR because it is successful, but we've learned that we need to have the targeted activities to create effective change faster and get caught back up from the backslide that the reduction of surgeries that we had in the COVID era created. We are following our direction to reduce our, where we had to follow directions to reduce our activities and conserve medical resources. Now, we need the help and expertise of our community trappers in order to successfully contain such large populations of community cats. We're speaking with trappers, and hopefully they're giving us new ideas on how we can incentivize their help with our targeted activities. TNVR remains a new idea to the general public of South Florida. We have the opportunity for outreach in the neighborhoods and communities where we're working. We wanted to remove the fear from the public that when their cats are trapped and taken to the ACC, we want them to understand how this program benefits the community and the cats. Door hangers, public meetings, public service announcements, and a dedicated webpage will assist in these efforts to explain and inform. We're working to involve our community, so we need to find ways to cross language barriers and develop tools to communicate with all of our major demographics. Some of our community partners have resources that exceed ours. We need to remember that this is not a competition, but a collaboration. While we may struggle to support massive surgical operations within our current staffing and facilities, we can lean on the support, we can lean in on field support and transportation portions of the type of collaboration that we're doing. The county has the most reporting and scouting information, and we're able to support field operation safety in support of our partners. The trappers that have been working with the county have had an amazing impact on their neighbors and on our staff. Their knowledge, passion for life-saving, and drive towards creating healthy populations of community cats is inspiring and transformational for these efforts. We need your help and support to succeed. What does the future look like from here? We have received clear information from the community and many of you that we need to educate and communicate within our entire community. We plan on developing educational materials for different age groups, languages, and audiences. We're creating a community cat resource page on our website that will grow to be a centralized hub of information, resources, and engagement. We're leaning into our partnerships with national organizations like Maddie's Fund and the Best Friends Animal Society to use their educational outreach, printed and digital media, to raise awareness, educate, and engage our community. We're creating a Facebook group that is for targeted TNVR working groups. We're looking to joining this group is for people who want to participate and for the essential real-time communication that field operations entail. Help us to enlarge our growing patch of sterilized populations. We aim to flatten the curve and decrease the intensity of our kitten season waves, make measurable change in the reported populations, and decrease public cat conflict. We strive to maintain healthy populations of community cats in our neighborhoods. Our meeting is a chance for our team to hear from you. We are at a pivotal place in trying to build up our programs, and we need community support for this to be successful. Your feedback tonight is vital. Please come up to the microphone and give us your name and tell us your thoughts about some of the topics that we have listed on the slides. We're here tonight to listen. If you don't want to speak in front of the group, or if you have additional thoughts later, please send an email to Director Steele using the address on the slide, and your thoughts will be reviewed by our entire working group. Thank you again for your participation tonight.
So that's a quick overview of what we've done, what we've heard, but we really want your input. So I would love it for folks to just come on up and say what they have concerns about or what they need information on. Hey, Elizabeth.
Good evening, everybody. Elizabeth from Barky Pines. First of all, let me say thank you guys for coming out Saturday. That was awesome. We had a great event, so I really appreciate you guys being there. Being a partner for TNVR is fantastic. And, we decided to add that on because it is so needed. And, the trappers are working really hard, spending their time, their dollars doing it. So we definitely need more support for the trappers. I don't know if some of the funds from, the donation fund can be used to help them. We personally, out in the acreage, are having an issue for the feeders. So we have, and Officer Black is well aware of this, and we've been trying to work through it. Commissioner Weiss is actually assisting us. The feeders got basically thrown out of the plaza. And they were told if they come and feed, we're going to call the police. And one woman actually apparently was arrested. And then, so they moved to the library behind it, and the library said, no, it can't be here. And then I guess they tried across the street at the AutoZone, and the AutoZone said, you come here and feed the cats, I'm going to call the police. So, if you're going to feed the cats, you have to trap and fix them. And if you're going to trap and fix them, you have to feed them, right? So how do we get past this? This is county property. The cats will eventually sunset. They're all fixed. And the feeders are making sure that if any new ones come, they're bringing them in to get fixed. So this is a major problem, because what do? We just let the cats now that have been used to being fed for themselves. That's not going to work. So that's one major issue that we're trying to deal with. So I think, the community outreach should be to businesses as well. If the feeders, are keeping the area clean and just, as per ordinance, they should be allowed to be in the back. They're not hurting anybody. I don't know how much authority the county has to actually make them, quote unquote, allow it, but we have to definitely do something with the outreach there. Also, we do what we can when the cats come in, right? We always try to go above and beyond, right? We do a lot of extra things that's not covered under our contract. We find ways to subsidize it, right? And I'm always willing to do that and do that extra work. But a lot of the cats, after they've been TNVR'd, encounter different issues. We get a lot of cats with damaged tails, whether it's from, a human or another animal, or it got caught or run over or whatever. Tail needs to be amputated. Eyes need to be removed. There's no funds for that. So the trappers come and, bring me this poor cat that's suffering, but that can be helped, right? This is not a fatal issue. Right? So obviously if the cat is suffering, we're not going to allow it to suffer. But if this is something that can be fixed with a couple of hours of vet time and some medication, and the trappers are willing to hold the cat during the recovery time, we have to find a way to make this happen. We can't let these cats, we can't say, well, we're going to fix them and then just turn our backs on them. We have to continue to care for them and find a way to be able to do that. So that's basically my biggest things. So reaching out, HOAs, definitely, the language barrier, you guys have all that down, but I think we need to go a step further and talk to businesses as well. And because these cats deserve a food, and they deserve a safe place, and the feeders deserve a safe place to take care of them. So those are my thoughts, and I thank you guys very much. And I probably won't get to stay for the whole thing because I got a million things to do, but I wanted to make sure I came and showed my support for all these amazing people that give their time, and we're more than happy to help them and help you and put an end to this issue that we're having. And yes, the COVID hurt us so bad, dogs, cats, you name it. But I think working together and seeing what an amazing community we have, we can find ways to get back to where we need to be and help all these animals. So thank you all very much for doing this, and we're very grateful.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Tammy, and I do some trapping and fostering and various different things. I just wanted to input a couple of different suggestions that I had. I think I mentioned them at the last Countdown to Zero meeting. We need a way to impart upon a culture that doesn't want to TNR or do any management of the, oh, my wife likes kittens. You know, we need to incentivize them to want to spay neuter their animals and identifying those and creating that rapport with the population that is breeding these cats, that they would want to bring them in for spaying or neutering. I think the communication, having a Facebook group that you mentioned, that would be wonderful. We've had times when we have cats that are injured and coming in and we need someone to help. There's no one to help. So we end up either covering the cost ourselves or fundraising or doing something. And it ends up with a bunch of us driving around in broken cars and, you know, cats that are put here and there and everywhere. And some people are stuck with them when they could have been, let's say, a leg amputation, a tail amputation, an enucleation, a place to store them overnight when you're trapping so that they can get TNR'd and then you can come back and get them the next morning and release them. Transportation between the different facilities that offer TNR. There are vehicles, there are multiple organizations that have vehicles that have volunteers that may be qualified to drive a vehicle. They can offer spots instead of telling someone to, oh, take the cat over there, like go away, just don't do it here. They could be a truck that could say, hey, we're going to take 10 cats over to here. They can do TNR. We'll meet you back here tomorrow. You can pick up your cat and go home. The communication and the Facebook group that you had talked about, that may accomplish that. Also, the ability to walk into ACC with a cat that you have at the last minute. If you are a certified volunteered official signed up to the club trapper and you have a cat that you can't get in anywhere, I hate when they tell me, oh, you can call so-and-so, and you call so-and-so and they're like, we're scheduling for June right now. And that doesn't help that one cat that could so easily be taken just at another location. Or if you can take it in, TNR it, someone will pick it up, take it home. So what else was I going to say? I guess that's it for now, but thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Hi, I'm John Wood. I'm the president of Adopt a Cat Foundation in West Palm Beach. Also, in my spare time, I have a full-time job, which is as an assistant property manager in an HOA. And I would like to volunteer to help if you need any help with educating HOAs or writing up materials to distribute to HOAs to educate them on that. I notice in a lot of the Facebook page groups, people will say, I've been feeding these cats for X amount of time and my HOA just came and I have to get rid of these cats in like 72 hours and things like that. And a lot of it, I think, is basically kind of the HOA commando mentality, which I've worked very hard in my career to try to get rid of. But I do see a definite need for education, and I'd be more than willing to volunteer to help out if I can in any way.
Wonderful. Thank you, John.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Noemi. I live in Lakewood Beach. And I have just 4 points that are, from the presentation and something I wanted to share. One thing that I heard all the time, literally like 90% of the people that I talk to about bringing cats to animal care and control, and includes, unfortunately, some of the trappers and feeders, is that they're going to put the animals to sleep. So I think we need to change that narrative. We know that is not the case, but it's a constant thing that we had to deal with, constant. So I think it's important that they understand that you are not doing that and the work that you are doing. One thing, another thing is the focus group that you mentioned that is built, actually includes your employees. Any future trappers or feeders to be included in that group, I think that will be really the best thing to do, to really bring you the street the street talks. Another thing, the cooperation with the cities, like in Lake Worth, obviously the majority of the cats are there. We get a letter from the city, from all of our bills and all of the events coming up. I think it's a great place to put information about fix your cats and basically just give them information. I don't believe that the letter is in English and Spanish, but I know that one of the commissioners I just spoke to, they are going to be doing everything in Spanish as well and Creole. So I think that will be a great opportunity to you collaborating with them. And last but not least, just to piggyback on the first lady speaking, I apologize, I don't remember her name. So my quick story in coming to that trapping thing. So 3 cats were abandoned at 3 houses over my house. And abandoned is like the 3rd time that people just feed them and leave and leave it. It's a rental. So I'm like, okay, these babies, I can give them a home. They can come and eat in my front yard or my backyard, no problem. So I've been trying for 2.5 months. 2.5 months. And like she said, if you're going to trap a cat or you're going to lure it to come to your place, whatever, you got to put food, right? That's unfortunately how you have the only way that we can do it. But if there's any way that we can have that type of cooperation that she was saying, maybe, a note saying, hey, this lady is going to have, needs to be in your yard for 3 days, because I could have just get help and we could have just put a drop trap and trap all those cats and it will be done in 1 week. And you have no idea. I work 2 jobs and then having to do that every day, trying to lure them and being in there. And now I'm getting problem with other neighbors because, there's a lady walking around with little plates and I had to stay there to pick them up. So what is she doing? Just little things like that. So any kind of cooperation, it will be great because it would have been done into 2 days, basically. And also at the same time, yes, unfortunately, when I put food, other cats are gonna come by, but it's been like, this is my 2nd cat that I trapped that needed to be fixed. So it's just, again, part of the awareness. So I will appreciate more help with that. And of course, I got a letter, somebody called Animal Care and Control, and I had a conversation with Officer Black for that. So we get, penalized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Lisi. I have been a trapper for the last few years, thanks to my close friend Nina Blakeman, who taught me how to trap several years back. I want to just thank each of you for everything from the bottom of my heart for what you've done with your professionalism, your flexibility, your commitment, your devotion. I sometimes will go to Animal Care and Control and drop these animals off and get so emotional. And honestly, I don't know what we would do without you. You are incredible. Your staff is incredible. You're accommodating with flexibility when we ask you to help us. When, if we show up with too few cats, it's not a problem. If we show up with more cats, Susan's always so flexible and accommodating. And it's very, very meaningful to me. And the whole mission of not just controlling this population, but preventing suffering. So I want to convey that first and foremost. And secondly, I had a recent instance where I had a job on Macy Street, which is in West Palm, zip code 33405, between Parker and Georgia. And my friend Christine, who lives in that neighborhood, had tipped me off to a house that looked like it was out of control. So me and my partner Santiago scoped it out, and sure enough, it was what appeared to be like a 17-cat job. And then that quickly snowballed into a 37-cat job with one of the kittens, which died, unfortunately. But one thing that happened was, being a perfectionist, the Capricorn that I am, I wanted to catch every single cat. So I did not release any of them in the first few days. In fact, at one point, I had about 26 cats in our garage, which I was cleaning cages and maintaining a corporate job twice a day, feeding them, making sure that they had sterile cages. But what I learned was, through your vets that when I disclosed this in the interest of full transparency, that was not a good idea, and that you can't do that. You can't hold these cats for like more than two or 3 days, maybe even just 2 days. So for the reason being that they could fall, victim to a respiratory illness. But my point is that the way that your staff conveyed that to me, instead of making me feel like I had done something terribly wrong, or like I don't know what I'm doing and why are you even trapping, you made such a foolish mistake, like how could you not see that? Instead, they educated me on the priority that they see it from the trapper's perspective, that I want to get every single cat, especially every single female, but the overarching factor is that if you can't get everybody, it's okay. And you can go back. And yes, you're going to retrap, but you got to let them go. So I just want to convey to you that your staff is just superb. When I walk through the door, I'm always greeted with a friendly face from Susan and her coworkers, and including if I go to, rent traps. And it's just, you're doing an incredible job. And thank you for your devotion. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Thomas. That's very appreciative.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is, I'm a little nervous talking, so I'm going to try to get this quick. My name is Carmen Kunze. Online, it's Birdie Kunze. I'm a member of the Community Cats on Facebook. I had cats, I'm a dog person, but my daughter started feeding 2 cats outside of my house about 7 years ago. And I was like, oh, they're so cute. And then there was 3 cats, and oh, still cute. 4 cats, okay. Something's happening here. So I got educated on what the situation was. People who move out of their houses and just open their doors and just let the cat go. Fast forward now, I have 12. At one point it was 18. 2 of them got adopted. 2 sadly passed away. There's one that just whatever, he just psh, you just don't know. But right now I've had 12. And what I'm saying is I really appreciate what you guys have with this program. I really didn't get to know it until I had a really mean cat show up, and I took him to animal care, and I did my license and everything. I'm like, yeah, dude, you need to just go. Well, 3 days later, I come home, and there he is on my patio. I'm like, well, okay, there's something more to this, so I need to know what's going on. So I'm happily taking care of this colony. One thing I wanted to point out is people behind me, I live in a 33406 zip code. I do like that you have this language information going out. It needs to go out in Creole and in Spanish, because every once in a while I'll take a trip around my neighborhood and I'll look behind and there'll be like 4 or 5 teenage cats that are, have no ear tip. They're just running around. Eventually they show up at my house. I've got 2 right now that I'm looking at with my third eye and the trap. I'm ready to get those fixed. But I think it is important that you guys are dealing with it in Creole and Spanish, because there's a cultural thing involved with people just saying, oh, just let the cat go. They'll catch the rats, whatever. The second thing I want to point out is with the social media is super important, nowadays, especially younger people have short attention spans. I think you saw this viral clip a year ago of the little kitty where they were tickling the belly and the kitty went, with his hands. Well, I think you need to have that same thing with what happens with kitties that are just left out to fend for themselves. I think that needs to be viral. That needs to be kind of a short thing, and also hashtagged with TNVR and, feeding and breeding kills. Just, something a little more attention grabbing. That might be something good to consider on a social media aspect. And that's pretty much it. So thank you very much for your program, and I look forward to hopefully being more involved in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
So I'm Carmen, you know me. And one thing that I wanted to suggest, I was seeing in my Facebook memories that exactly, it's like it was 2015, that Peggy Adams was announcing that they were going to have the first trapping class, and I started remembering how, like, when they, after the Countdown to Zero was implemented, then they had some trapping classes, and it helped us a lot because we learned how to trap, like, from people. Brian Clancy is the one that shows some tricks, like, because there's some tricks that you, even if you know how to, like, put the bait or whatever, but there's certain things that you really need to hear from people that are actually trapping. And but another thing that happened during those classes is that we get to meet other people that were interested in the same thing. So that's where I met a lot of the people. And just looking around now, I see that most of these people, I know them. They are like the ones that really concentrate on that. But we need to attract new people. You know, we need more people. A lot of us, we have like cars that have too many miles, or that are old, that we don't have. I mean, we want to continue to do it, but we have limitations. So we need to attract more people. And I think if you will offer trapping classes, it will bring new people that might have the problem in their backyards and they don't know what to do. But if you offer them, you just show them how it's actually done with a live class, and then I would say that they would probably be more inclined to come. Like, it could be like on a weekend, and we could all help, I mean, with that. Like, if you will need us to, like, provide whatever refreshments, whatever, or
A quick follow-up question, if you can, because we have talked a little bit about this exactly. You know, the classroom is great.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing from people who do the job is great. But just talking to the room, how many of you trappers would undertake the idea of having an apprentice so that someone is actually seeing exactly what you do?
I would say yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for, because it seems like, you know, you can go through the theory and you can watch the video, but we all know you learn by doing. You know,
yeah,
and the problem solving that comes with it. That's awesome. Thank you very
good.
much to everyone.
And yeah, so that was one thing. And the other thing that it has talked that we really need, it would be like flexible times for drop off when we trap. Because I know when you have organized the trapping, the targeted trapping has been at night, but not everybody traps at night. Like, I personally just trap when there's daylight. I don't really, because you really need to talk to the people that have the cats. You need to know about the situation. But even after you talk to them, sometimes that's not really the truth. Like, we trapped in a business the other day, and the owner of the business said that he had like maybe 8 cats. And then we went, and it ended up being, Linda and I went to like assess the situation. We saw 15 cats. And then Jane went to trap, and actually we trapped 21 cats at the end, and we had to scramble trying to get more traps and get more appointments because we wanted to get all of them at the same time. And it was a business, so they allow us to go inside the business. So we were just trying to finish, be done, and leave that area. But then sometimes, like as you can imagine, having 21 cats to care for them, you would really need to have, I mean, like a facility with AC or whatever. And we don't have that, you know, like a lot of us, I used to have a garage where I used to put them, but not anymore. So we want to do like large trappings, but we need a place where we could just trap and bring the cats, be able, know that they're going to be in a secure place, and that we can like put pee pads and give them food, and then know that they are taken care of until the next morning when they're going to have surgery. Because like I said, a lot of us, we don't have a place to keep the cats overnight. And I know ACC, you had to pick them up the same day. So it's also like we are always trying to scramble where to put the cats, you know, where to. And we do it also not just for us, but the cats. I mean, I don't want to. I know I could always put them on the side of the house, but you know, the weather in Florida is either raining or too hot or too cold. So if we could like get something like that would help us. And another thing that it would really help, like, I don't know if you know, but Furry Friends got a large donation of wet food and then they were very kind, and they shared all that food with all the trappers and with all the rescuers. And you cannot imagine how much it has helped us. It was like an unbelievable gift for all we have been using it for bait and to our fosters and for the community cats. So if there's any way that even if it's once a year, that you could do like a food collection with the general public, not just because we are always the ones that we are providing among each other. I mean, we always provide the food, but so many feeders cannot afford the food anymore. They are always asking us. But I know that for a lot of people might be able to contribute like one bag of food, and we will be able to make a collection and be able to distribute to the feeders. That will help us a lot, because like you cannot imagine how many times we get asked for food, because as you can imagine, it's really hard to get. And the other thing that I want to say, and thank you so much for trying to create the Facebook group. We really need that, because that's where a lot of people will go to look for information. Social media is like where we all connect. So that would be great, to do that. I really, really thank you. And thank you so much. And I wanted to say, that going to ACC, it's really, really a good experience lately. Like, there's no wait times. Like, everybody's nice. Like, they help us. Susan is wonderful. Officer Black, we love her. Like, we are really, really happy with all the projects and all the things that you are doing. So thank you so much for your support. Okay, thank you.
Would the Facebook page just be for Jeff Trappers? That was my only question.
So the Facebook group. The Facebook group that we're going to be, it's actually already up. I have to send out invites. It is going to be specifically for our targeted hotspot trapping. So when we do that, and then eventually from there, if you guys decide to do a targeted trapping and you've got 3 or 4 trappers, it can be somewhere that everybody can go and communicate just for that targeted trapping is what we're doing for that.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was going to turn into like.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Rachel. I'm a trapper in Palm Beach County. Thank you, everyone, for everything that you do on a daily basis. I know I talk and communicate with most of you on a daily, weekly basis, or see you on a weekly basis as well. So thank you for everything that you're doing for Palm Beach County and the community cats within that county. I'm a much better trapper than I am public speaker, so I apologize if I'm a little shaky or anything like that. I think it's a great idea to work with property HOAs and educate them on ordinances. A lot of times they don't know any of those community cat ordinances. They don't even know it exists. So until I go there and the people are like basically being threatened to be evicted if they stop feeding cats, and they can already be TNR'd or things like that, or they have to be mandatory removal. I don't deem feral cats removable from anywhere unless that property is being demolished and they no longer have a place to be safe and reside and eat. So it's difficult when HOAs are kind of creating their own subsections or rules and influencing people to the point where they're like terrified and they don't know what to do with these cats, to the point where they rent a trap them, and then will illegally relocate them. A lot of times I'll say, just call me. We'll figure out a way. Just call me. I feel if we had some type of number that people could call to report sick, injured, pregnant cats, inundated areas specifically just for cats, I think would help narrow down to areas that need more help over others, or getting to sick, injured cats that need to be trapped faster, as well as take a lot of that workload off of your ACC officers that can be investigating other things. The overnight, Peggy Adams is great. I enjoy going to ACC a lot better just because it's not so much of the waiting to find out that you're not going to have a spot or turning people away. It seems like you guys never turn me away, and I really appreciate that. I could be coming to you 5 minutes before you close and you'll still accept me in. And I appreciate that, and doing that for the public really means a lot, to where it's not discouraging to trap cats because it is a lot of work essentially to where you have to run a trap, you have to buy the food, you have to wait, you have to watch it, you have to bring them in, watch them overnight. So a lot of times people prefer going to Peggy Adams, I feel, just because they don't have to keep the cat overnight. Maybe even, it doesn't have to be a weekly thing, but maybe if we have specific targeted days on a certain during the month that will allow the public specifically where the cats can stay there overnight. Maybe it be like on a Friday or something where you're not using the education room or something to where the cats can kind of stay in there overnight and they can be picked up and then released by their trappers. I think that would, because a lot of times I hear, I don't know where to keep them overnight. And a lot of times that's the way they ask for help. I agree that master trapping classes worked in the past, but I feel that more now it's more like you should create some type of new age type of informational video and then to make sure trappers know what they're doing and not just say they know what they're doing and not just leaving traps unattended, uncovered. They're not educating. They're not knocking on doors to make sure it's okay to leave it on their property. Listen, I'm the crazy cat lady to where I'll knock on everybody's door, be like, I'm gonna go in your backyard to look for the cat that I see over there. It just takes permission of the property owner to be able to walk on that property. And a lot of times people just don't know that, but they have good intentions and want to help the cat, but feel they can't get it because they're too scared to knock on the door. Maybe if they had some type of rhetoric to keep like a little handbook to keep at hand, like a trapping handbook, I think that would be a great, just like general ideal, point to say this should be done, this is what shouldn't be done, avoid this, better luck, have better success with this. For areas that people want to take care of large colonies themselves, I'm all for it, but when they only have the ability to have 1 or 2 traps to be trapping cats that are 30 plus, it's never going to get under control. And I feel that we should somehow relate to them that it's okay to ask for help from a volunteer trapper, even if you can't afford it. Let's work it out. Let's just get your cats done. And even if it's a planned one night to where 2 volunteer trappers go one night and they have the ability to trap all of the cats at once or most of the cats. And then when you go to release, you trap those few others before releasing those cats. I think that would be a great benefit, as well as, again, educating in communities that it's okay to ask for the help, that there are volunteer trappers out there that are willing to do that work. I know with the situations, a tough situation with Liz and the acreage with our cats out there in that specific plaza that we've been dealing with for several months. It's a lot of he said, she said, a lot of, cattiness there. In the end, we're not satisfying someone. And also there was feeding in the past that was being done that wasn't correct. And until we educated those feeders not to leave food behind unattended, not to feed raccoons willingly, not to leave garbage, to pick up after yourself, it changed, but it was too late for that certain area. And we were kept being pushed out, and now it's to the point where we are being quote unquote catcalled and hey, what are you doing, and your tail lights out, your tag lights out, and let me see your driver's license and your registration and your insurance, and then you're trespassing, and then it gets to the point where they're actually arresting a 72-year-old fully disabled woman and actually take her to jail, a gun club, for her to be bailed out for feeding cats that are allowed to be there. They're TNR'd there. We're dealing with situations in the acreage in Loxahatchee where there's a lot of cats being dumped. Where are they going to dump them? They're going to dump them in a wooded lot at the end of a street in the middle of nowhere, or are they going to dump them at a spot like McDonald's or Publix where they think people will see them and that hopefully they'll be found and given a good home and life that they couldn't be given before the abandonment. The transporting, I'm the first person that's gonna be like, I'm all for it, but yes, my truck has 356,000 miles on it currently. Yes, I've had it for a little bit of time, but those miles do add up fast. Absolutely, if I had the ability to hop in a van, I could load that thing up with 30, 40 cats and transport it anywhere you like. Absolutely, because that saves the miles on my vehicle. In the end, going on to the topic of treating the cats that are community cats that are already TNR'd, where they're coming back with those various medical issues, the eye inoculation, upper respiratories, need tail amputation, things like that. That's the typical TNVR cat. Now we're seeing cats that have stomatitis and things that need full mouth extractions. Some of them can't be deemed even releasable, because how can you release both eyes removed with no teeth cat? Some people do it. Me, I prefer, usually when they're with me during the extent of their medical recovery, I find that they become socialized and then can be adopted out into a home. I think that's essential for ending the euthanasia and lowering that euthanasia rate in cats. Working with how we've been doing with working with different rescues and having the rescues pull for an eye inoculation or an amputation or things like that. I think that really means a lot to the community where the cats are coming from and the cats themselves. Let's see. I think that's... I agree with Carmen with the flexible AM drop-off times. I'm totally about it because I'm usually always a few minutes late. Sorry, Susan. Also, with the chat group forum, Facebook, I'm totally for it. It's like that kind of communal thing where you can go in there and ask any question and you're not going to be judged. That kind of thing. I communicate with a lot of the people behind me on a daily, weekly basis, and it could be for any random question or, oh my gosh, did you hear about this, or things like that. And it really helps keeping us more like a family type of community and working all together and knowing that we have each other's backs. And if we need something, it's okay to call this person. We don't have to get to where we're feeling overwhelmed and essentially have to stop what we love doing, and that's helping our community and our community cats. I know it would definitely benefit me if I had the ability to rent 5 traps for, even if it's a short amount of time, just for, like, I go to an area and there was supposed to be 12 cats. I have those traps with me, but oh shoot, there's 10 more. If I had the ability to pick up those 10 traps and trap those cats in that same night and get them all spayed and neutered at the same time, it's beneficial because it's not going back and forth and holding multiple sets overnight. But I wouldn't be able to afford a $75 to $95 deposit per trap. It's impossible. No way. I'd rather call around to many of my friends behind me and beg to borrow any of their traps possible. And I think that's probably it. Also, I think getting rhetoric out there into communities where they're inundated or there is language barriers. I trap a lot in Casa del Monte Mobile Home Park. There's a huge language barrier in there. I'm always calling Carmen or, resorting to someone that, do you speak English? Do you speak Spanish? So you can help me translate. I've actually sat down and met with the HOA girls there that kind of operate. They're actually creating policies, pet policies, to where every person in their mobile home has to have their pets registered, including cats that they feed indoor or outdoor. They've also said that we can put different rhetoric in their monthly and weekly mail outs and flyers that are all in Spanish that advertise different things. She said, take a whole quarter panel. I would be happy to put the TNVR information on there, or who to call, or how to do it, how to operate, that kind of thing. So she's also invited any of us to any of their monthly or quarterly meetings that they do there. That language barrier is the biggest thing. Anytime those door hangers or postcards are at ACC, anytime I walk in there, I'm the one stealing the stack for sure from the table. And that really benefits just having that go-to card, or where I can write my number on, and they kind of put it on the refrigerator or keep it in their, center console of their vehicle. So I think that's definitely a good thing. We used to get a lot years back to where we'd get like a whole stack in Creole and Spanish and English, and now it's more or less we get every time I'm in there, don't let them see me, or I'm hoping, hey, do you have any more of these, that kind of thing. And thank goodness for the people that supply them to me. Thank you, Officer Black. I appreciate that. And so it's all about and also too, sometimes you know, a lot of people call me the trapper that's always called for those impossible to catch cats or those impossible to work with feeders or property owners. A lot of times, to be honest, I will do anything to be able to convince these people to trap. I will educate them about vaccinations, because a lot of times it's sick cats that I'm going to. Sick cats have sick kittens. That's the bottom line. I said, if you want these kittens to survive and have a better life and not be born into homelessness, this is what has to be done, and it's the right thing to do. It's more beyond morally and that kind of thing. It's for the cats. If you care about these cats, this is what these cats deserve. I barter a lot. I trap a lot in downtown West Palm Beach and in areas that can't afford to pay a trapper, and I barter with them. I know they're feeding 25, 35 cats. I know that's expensive. So I tell them, I know you're feeding all those cats. I know it's expensive. What do you need? Are any of them sick? Do you need any flea meds? Do any of them have mange or their hair's, lost? Do you need food? What do you need? And a lot of times, I could use food, absolutely. Okay, then let me trap the cats and I'll be happy to supply you with food. And that's how a lot of times I'm so, I beg everywhere for cat food. I'll go into Publix, be like, do you have any ripped bags? Do you think I can go in the dumpster and check? Like, seriously, I would dumpster dive for bags of cat food just because areas in need it so badly and so desperately. And that's my way in to build that trust to where they'll call me when a new cat shows up, when they find kittens, instead of letting them grow up till they're 4 months old and breeding age anyway, and you have 4-month-old kittens that are now pregnant. So it really means a lot to be able to supply that to the feeders, or again, even if it's the collection one time a year, or we work to get some type of sponsorship from Purina or something to where they even donate a certain amount of food to us a year. And these are the benefits. This is what you do. This is what, we'll post on social media. This is who you feed. This is, what's going on. Peggy Adams did supply a lot of our downtown West Palm Beach cats food for a number of years. Unfortunately, they're not doing that anymore. I'm coming out of pocket for over 65 cats that are residing from 7th Street on Tamarind Avenue to 10th Street past Douglas and Division. I provide this food to the feeders. I don't just go and drop off food when I see a cat. These are people that I know feed them on a certain day. They care for them. They will call me if one's injured or sick, if a new one shows up. So that way it stays under control. And that's that trust and that, more or less, that unwritten contract that we have. I'm happy to provide you with food. I'm happy to help you when these cats are sick or get injured, but you have to help me by letting me know what's needed. And I feel sometimes being that rogue trapper that just goes out and sees a cat and like, is there an ear tip? I'm just gonna put a trap down, and they don't get in touch with the feeders. And then you have feeders that are upset because they're missing cats and they're calling everywhere. Oh my God, where's the cat? It's missing. Yes, I was supposed to get it fixed, but it wasn't. I was gonna go tomorrow. And then just to be able to have that community, that network, to be able to educate trappers to do things the right way, but the benefits of doing them the right way, because it really opens like flower blossoms, where now you're encouraging other people in the community to spread that. Now I'm teaching kids that what's right and wrong and proper pet ownership, and now they're spreading it to where they come up to me, oh, Miss Rachel, crazy cat lady, oh, do you see this over here? Come here, I have something to show you. And they'll bring me to new areas with cats. And that's all building trust and observing the area and learning the people there. It's also talking to the community. It's knocking on the doors. It's introducing yourself. And a lot of times, yeah, you'll feel stupid and look stupid or feel like you're embarrassed by talking to these people. I've done it so much now that it's like, what's the worst somebody gonna do? Make me cry or chase me away? It's sorry. I'm really in it for the cats. So again, but thank you for everything you're doing, and I feel this will really benefit the cats of Palm Beach County. I couldn't appreciate everything that you do for this county and for having this meeting, because it really allows us to open up for more conversation and ideas and suggestions, and never being able to turn away somebody that has a cat in a trap. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, anybody else have some comments, questions? Come on up.
I talked to you a little bit before. Hi, my name is Deanne. I'm actually handle a section of Delray Beach, and it's, like most people, not the greatest section in the world. But the biggest problem that we're facing there, I agree with a lot of what everybody has said. I mean, it just seems to be a huge conglomeration of things. One of the largest problems we have is not so much the lack of education with the people, it's the lack of education with the law enforcement. I have had people come out on the sidewalk and literally threaten to put me in the hospital. Oh yeah, on a regular basis. Put me in the hospital, beat my fat. My only job is going to be getting myself out of the hospital and getting well. Called the police, and basically they refused to even write a report, said it was our fault because we don't inform people of what we're doing. Now, this is a location that has been fed for 7 years, and it was also a location where they fight us on trapping. Even though we're not trapping in the yard. We're not in the yard, we're on the literally come after us, and we have no backup. There's no backup from law enforcement. And so we end up reaching out to you all, basically Officer Black. And the problem is, I'll be honest with you, because you all can't get into like the civil part of it. The law enforcement aren't willing to have our backs on it. Because I said to him, I said, let me, 2 hours it took for him to get to me to begin with. And then absolutely refused to write a report. He kept saying, no, you don't understand. If somebody was lurking around my backyard, I'd want to know more. I said, so basically I'm not in your backyard. I'm on a public sidewalk. I said, so basically what you're telling me is I can walk out, and if I see somebody standing on a sidewalk, I don't like the way they look, or I'm not sure what they're doing, I can literally go and threaten to beat the crap out of them, and you won't arrest me. Yeah, I'm thinking that's not the case. There's a lot of goings on within that community. I feed about 200 a night within a 10-block radius. And most of them are spayed and neutered. It's been a work in progress. Well, honestly, I'm not feeding, but I've been a rescue person. It's been both for over 30 years. So I do have to say, I have seen the improvement, because I was one of the people out there at 3 o'clock in the morning hiding from the police, who literally would arrest us when it was illegal to put down a piece of food. It was illegal to trap a cat and bring it to BTNV yard. You would be in big trouble for that. Your only option was you were going to trap it and you were going to bring it to have it euthanized. And that was it. You could even find, if you were lucky enough to find a vet that would work with you on it, it was $150 a cat back then. So we really have come a long way. However, I feel like we've kind of gotten stuck as far as the laws. I'm sorry, I don't feel that the laws that are in place now are protecting the animals, or those of us that have the compassion, that are trying to make sure that the animals are safe, that we're safe with the animals. And it's almost like I understand education and educating these people, but I'm telling you now, a lot of the people that I deal with out there, they're educated. They don't want it. They don't want their cats, because it's just like somebody else said, they like the babies. They like the babies, but they don't feed them, because guess what? I'm the one out there feeding them. They're coming to me for the food. And when you do go try to trap, it's like, even if it's not on their property, like a couple locations, they make a little phone call off on the side when they see me coming with traps. They get the whole neighborhood out, and they are literally running down the street screaming, scaring the cats away. I mean, I had a super sick cat. I was in tears because they chased her away. Luckily, 2 days later, she came back to me crying. She was halfway to dead. She was so sick, and I was devastated because they wouldn't allow me to get her. They're constantly, and they're breeding them out in their backyard. They're breeding them out in their yards, in their homes. But then when they get to be a certain age, they open the door and let them out. So this is a lot of what we're dealing with. So my thing is, where do the laws then step in? I understand we're kind of being, but a lot of what I'm hearing is a little bit of touchy feely. I want to be able to say, no, you can't do that. No, you cannot. I'll be honest with you. I told a law enforcement officer when I was feeding in an alleyway, because we have the community cat program there, which I talked to Officer Black about. It's kind of fallen off the grid a little bit, but we're trying to get it back on track. And having that, I don't understand why you can look at some third world countries that have cat setups. They have cat feeding areas. Where are we that we're begging and pleading and, oh, please, can I put a little bit of food down here for this cat? Are you kidding me? These places, these cats people have turned a blind eye to these locations, these cats, for so many years. That's why it's so bad. I mean, there was a thing, I can only speak for Delray, the new jewel of South Florida, where animals come to die. And that's really what was out there. That was out there plastered because it was so horrific. They have turned a blind eye to that section so badly. And now we're trying to play cleanup, but it's also tiptoeing around. So I had law enforcement called on me, and I was in an alleyway that belonged to the city. And being we had the city program, I told them, I said, basically, the neighbors called on me who are not from here. They're actually snowbirds. They're down a couple times a year, and they can't stand the fact that there's cats being fed in the alleyway, even though it's all the way back. It's not in their yard. So they called. So when the law enforcement came, I told them, I said, I'll be honest with you. I said, no disrespect, and which I don't. I have utmost respect to have family members in law enforcement and military, so I do have utmost respect. But when it comes to that, I'm like, you know what? You don't have any jurisdiction over these animals. I said, because we do not have a law enforcement, an animal control law enforcement person in Delray Beach. You all are the ones that are responsible for that animal's life. You're responsible for that animal's well-being. It falls under Palm Beach County Animal Care and Control. So I don't need a Delray Beach police officer telling me that what I can do and can't do, especially when they don't know the law. None of them have any idea what the law is. They have no idea that it's illegal to trap and relocate or bring a trap, like a rodent trapper in. Because I've had a lot of them tell me that. And I have one now, there's on 9th Street, there's a halfway house being run. The owner doesn't live there, but the guy showed me the text, one of the guys that lives there. There was a mom cat and 5 babies born in the backyard. Some of the folks were feeding them. He is planning on putting poison down to kill them because he doesn't want them there anymore. He doesn't want them on his property. So can't call the police on that because honestly, they don't care. They don't know the laws. And I'm sorry, at least ones in Delray Beach, they don't seem to care. They just don't. I don't know if it's because they're so uneducated or we have just become such a pain in their neck. I kind of get that feeling when they do come out that we're just a hassle. But I went and talked they wouldn't allow me to communicate with the owner. But I did through them. I said, well, let me just explain one thing. I said, that is so beyond against the law. I said, that's a felony. And I have a tendency to go. I told him, you tell him I will see him in jail. I said, he puts one scrap of poison food down. I said, I will come get them. But now, here we have the problem. Sure, you can come get them. That's 6 animals you have to remove and have a place for. This is not just TMVR. This is, oh my gosh, we're all in overload. We're all in overload because there's just not enough of us to go around. There's not enough fosters. There's not enough trappers. There's not enough time in a day. A lot of us, I work full time. I should be out feeding right now, as a matter of fact. But I just am curious as to how do we move forward with that. You've moved forward so well with so many other things, and please don't think I don't appreciate it. I absolutely. The day I had to could come and felt comfortable coming and talking and things like that was so greatly appreciated. But is there any plans to move forward with getting some stricter laws? With it almost seems like the burden is put on us for proof, for this, for that, and no, you can't do this, and no, you can't do that. And all we're trying to do is save an animal's life. We're either trying to assist, we're trying to save an animal's life, because some of these ones, I've gone in, and yes, I've gotten them to come off the property and go on someone else's property to trap, but I got to watch my back, because I got that trap on that other person's property, even though they say it's okay. If the other person that says that's my cat comes out and sees me trapping it, that's an issue. And a lot of them are sick kittens. And I explained to them, look, they're sick. But most of it is they like them when they're kittens. And then they just throw them out. And we end up feeding them.
So just to the ordinance side of that is one of my projects for this year, is updating and improving our ordinances. So anybody that has any suggestions, please email me. I'm working with the officers quite a bit on what they want as suggestions. I want to try and get a rough draft of the updated ordinances out this year. I need to send it through our legal folks, so I've still got another several months of working on it before we start having public hearings on an ordinance. So give or take, I'm working on it. I just keep getting kind of waylaid, so I'm a little bit behind on that. But yes, that is definitely something on my list to do.
And so greatly appreciated. And I do understand. I mean, I know everybody's got their hands full, but yeah, they are somewhat antiquated. Like I said, it's really difficult because we start to think like a little bit like a ping pong ball. I mean, you come here and it's like, well, we can't help you with that. You go to law enforcement goes, yeah, no, we can't help you with that. Or you got to call ACC, and pretty soon you're going between ACC and you're going to law enforcement. And honest to God, I think half the time they hope that we will get so frustrated that we'll just throw our hands up and we'll walk away on that side of the house. I really do. I think they just think, they hope we'll just go away. I was like, you've turned a blind eye to this whole section for such a long time. You can't do that anymore. And a lot of them don't even want to drive through the streets. I mean, there have been dogs. We've had dogs there. The dog backyard breeding in that one area was just horrific. I mean, just horrific. Some of it stopped, some of it hasn't. I mean, but there's only, like I said, there's only so much and so much time in a day when you can do whatever. I mean, I got called, I think Kara helped me with that. Somebody came after me in the middle of the road because someone called him because he's a backyard breeder, and he blamed it on me. And I was called more names than one, but told me to get my white butt out of there and take my white butt back to Whitetown where I belonged. And I could be wearing that community cat t-shirt all day long. It doesn't matter. So it's just kind of, like I said, one of those things where if we have some better guidelines for us too, but law enforcement, and I don't know how, obviously it's on you all, how you get them on board to be, but as I said, he was a sergeant that I said it to, and I said, all due respect, you do not have any jurisdiction over the lives of these animals. I said, I am on city property, which I was given permission. I said, because this is not only a feeding area, I said, it's a staging area because I have a lot left to trap here. So I'm trying to draw them in from blocks so you don't have to run up and down every block and argue with every person you put a trap down to. If I can, a trap in their yard or alongside their yard on the sidewalk. So trying to draw them in. And he actually agreed. He said, I have to agree. He said, you're right. He said, I really don't. And I said, thank God, somebody that agreed, because if you're not going to be there and you're not going to have, and I don't know if y'all make headway with talking to them about having an animal control office. I know Delray used to have one, but it was like a long, long time ago.
So right now, there is only one municipality that has an animal control officer, and she is going to be retiring this year, and that will mean that of the 39 municipalities in our county, none of them will have animal control officers. So we're absorbing all of the entire county.
Oh my God, I don't get it. And that was Boynton? Is that, yeah, she's retiring. Crap. Yeah, I mean, it is really bad. It's very bad in that area, and I don't know why. But you know what? If that is the case, then so be it. Then they need to step back. Then they need to step off. If they're not willing to get involved and do that, then I'm sorry, then that's part of the law. Okay, you gave up that portion of it because you're not willing to put an animal care and control officer within the police department. So now they fall under us. So guess what? Now it's us. So you need to step off and let people try and help these animals the best you can. I mean, we've actually I've paid people. I've paid people to give me the animal. I literally have paid people. I paid somebody $100 for his cat because it was being so mistreated. And I was so heartbroken. Paid some woman $150 for the dog she had kept in a crate in the back that was so matted, you couldn't even tell what it was. I mean, we're not above that, but now, it was the same thing of what she said too about the food. When you're pulling all this money for food and for vetting out of your own pocket, it's hard to pay somebody anymore for their animals. But, I mean, I do, like I said, we appreciate it, but at times, as she was saying, the vehicles are getting old and this is are you kidding me? Our bodies are getting old. And there's I mean, I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, when are the young people stepping up? When are they coming in? I was trying to back myself out, and instead I got pushed farther into where I kind of inherited this whole big menagerie. But once again, thank you so much, and so greatly appreciated for what you do. And anything you come up with, that is such wonderful news. That just makes my day.
Thank you, Deanne. We appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Carmichael. I am with Florida's Forgotten Felines. That's my organization. And I've been in this business endeavor undertaking for about 35 years. I just want to touch on a few common sense points that get overlooked a lot, and I think it's important that some people get reminded of them, okay? First of all, always have a trap or carrier in your car. It does help a lot when you find a cat that's injured or sick, or even a raccoon or an opossum or any other animal. Okay? Don't get there and, oh my God, there's a kitten, I want to rescue it, but I have nothing to put it into. Okay? Also, please do not leave dishes, plates, styrofoam plates at feeding sites. Just a water bowl, a dark plastic water bowl or a clear one, okay? And do give water to the cats. There's so many feeders I have come across that neglect putting water out. The cats do need water. My own cats at home drink a lot of water, okay? They do have the need for fresh, clean water daily. Please watch your cats. Look at them. Monitor them. Have a look and see, is there an eye problem? Is there a cat limping? Okay, if you do see one, get it and take it to the vet or somewhere where you can get help. Get the pregnant cats first. Prevent a litter, please. It's very, very important. Educate. John, thank you for mentioning that. Educate people. HOAs, trailer parks. Trailer parks are the worst places. Spanish-speaking people, many of them have no idea that there is an organization like Animal Control, like Peggy Adams, that will fix the cats for free. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, then let me tell you, okay? Door hangers, postcards, whatever. Ellicott Allies in Bethesda, Maryland, has a lot of door hangers and flyers they will send you for free, okay, in Spanish and English. When you come across people that give you a hard time, please be polite and courteous and try to educate them and tell them that we are not the problem. We are the solution to the problem. Okay, we fix the cats, we prevent litters, we feed the cats, but please cooperate with us. If you have to, change your feed times. Some businesses are open till 5, then they close. Well, go after 5 o'clock. Be flexible. And also, if you find a cat with mange, have some ivermectin in your car. It's just a little amount in a syringe. You can give it in the food. You don't have to inject it. Maybe some antibiotics as well. And also have a comb or brush with you in case you find a cat with a sticker or one of those burrs in the tail or back. Brush it out if you can touch the cat. It prevents the cat from licking it and getting it into his or her mouth. And lastly, I want to thank everybody at Animal Control for cooperating. Officer Black, how are the prison cats?
All have been released.
They're released? Back home, thank you.
Yeah, they've all been released. The last two were released today.
Wonderful, thank you very much. You have come a long way, I tell you that, because I have had some headbutting with Animal Control 25 years ago, okay? So I do thank you for the great improvements that have been made. Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Susan.
Hi, Tammy again. I wanted to touch base on a subject that just came up with one of the other speakers. Ran into a situation the other day where there's a woman who had ongoing issues with getting cats out of a certain area where some of the neighbors like them, some of the neighbors don't. One of the neighbors is quite vehement that he wants to make this life of this woman very difficult. So anyway, we're in this area talking about dealing with this cat problem. I know that ACO Black has been informed and may be aware of the ongoing issue, but a couple loose dogs entered into the story and killed 2 of the cats in one day last week. And the police were called, and this is how my words hopefully can make a change. The police had the, you know, that old story about boys will be boys, that they had the big TV commercials about, and how you're supposed to treat women, and rape isn't good, and everybody was like, boys will be boys, boys will be boys. The police officers that came, I don't know who responded, were basically dogs will be dogs. And one of them actually helped to try to get the injured cat out of the backyard of where it was. We haven't caught the injured cat yet. That was the third of the animals that were injured by these dogs. The person had possibly found where the dogs were coming from, informed the police, informed Animal Control, and we have a plan to try to get the cats. We've already pulled a couple from the field. We had one that we got the other day. Hopefully that one could be socialized as actually friendly. But this is an ongoing problem where the police were called because cats were killed. The woman does not live in the area any longer, but she maintains the cats. And she wants the cats to go to a different place to settle them out so that they're staying with certain neighbors who are accepting. But the police's response, in my opinion, if I had been there, I would have been through the roof with the dogs will be dogs. Because the police go in there, they claim no responsibility at all for animal care and control issues. They say call ACC. But they, as a employee of the municipality that they work in or the county that they work in, have a job to enforce the law. The law says there is a leash law. There was a loose dog. The dog was loose. It killed the cat. It's a dangerous issue if there are 2 dogs running around doing the same thing, because dogs run in packs and they do bad things. Most dogs, if they are kept under control, if they are with their owners, if they're kept in a fenced yard, will never get into that issue where they're walking around and killing other animals. So I blame the humans. It's not the dog's fault. The dogs are doing what dogs do. However, the police had the responsibility to enforce the leash law at the very least. And their response to the woman who just had 2 of her cats that she cares for, one was killed that morning, one was killed that night. And she was heartbroken that the first one was killed. And then she comes and the second one's killed. And then she's rounded up a couple extra people to try to help her. In the middle of talking about that and making plans for future endeavors, another one gets injured. And the dogs, don't know what happened to the dogs. The dogs are loose, I don't know. But I don't know what kind of response other than, oh, dogs will be dogs. And nobody does a door knocking. Nobody responds to the house that she said the dogs came from. So we need the police, the armed, the people that aren't animal control, the people that are sheriff's deputies, police, whoever, to be educated on the animal laws. You can't just turf it off to them. And then I have, on the other, I'm listening to people getting trespassed off of a public alley, which is a public right of way. And I could actually call the police if somebody's in my neighbor's house, which has happened, and they tell me, oh, is it posted? Are there 4 no trespassing signs, 1 on each side of the property? Oh, we don't know. The owner actually has to trespass the people now. We're not allowed. We're allowed to be there in case there's a difficulty. But the owners have to actually trespass the people off the property now because we couldn't possibly do that. And I'm like, okay, I got called. I'm a realtor. I got called the police on me because I was waiting for a client who was late on a public road. The guy out front of the house started riding his bike around me. He's like, obviously affected that I'm parked in front of his house and he doesn't like that. It's a public road. And I'm like, oh, fine. It's okay. So he calls the cops on me. The cops actually come and start asking me what I'm doing there. And I'm like, okay, now you're the people who tell me that I can have a squatter living in my neighbor's house and I couldn't possibly tell them to get out of the house that they just broke into, caused damage to the property. There are no trespassing signs, but there's only 2 of them, not 4 of them. And yet you're going to trespass her off her alley. You're going to yell at me because I'm parked on the side of a public road. And you're going to say, oh, those dogs that are killing those 2 cats, oh, dogs will be dogs. So where's the double standard there? So winding up my little verbal diarrhea here, they need to be educated. And if there are laws to be enforced, enforce those laws. If you're going to turf it to animal care and control, have them come out. Don't just say dogs will be dogs and basically break this other person's heart. So thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
Hello, my name is Andre. I'm from Community Cat Medical Fund, and and I just also want to applaud Palm Beach Animal Care and Control. I think you guys do a fabulous job, and just even the fact that you're here talking to us and getting our feedback is wonderful. One of the things I was thinking about while everyone was talking was, to get more community involvement, especially from the feeders. There might be, I'm sure there are tons of feeders out there who have no idea what to do when, kittens are on their property or, they see a cat with mange. I mean, some of these medical issues and some of these preventatives can be done through a workshop. I was thinking maybe you could, have all of us join together and do a workshop with community feeders to teach them things like preventative with deworming and, this is what you do with mange. And, that would also keep some of the kitties coming, from coming to you guys. Hey, I saw this cat with mange, instead of a 10-cent dose of ivermectin, he's in your facility for 2 or 3 days for whatever other reasons that might be going on. But I thought maybe more involvement with the community is really what we need, because it takes a community to care for community cats. These are the same people out there every single day. And, when I first got into this, it was because there was a group of kittens at my work. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know what a community cat was, and a month later, I'm riding around with a trap in my trunk, and 7 years later, I'm here talking to you. So, again, I just wanted to, maybe that's an option. Obviously there's things that require a prescription, so, maybe that's not something you guys would dole out. But if there's something that we could have on hand, or at least give them a brochure, hey, you can get dewormer off of Amazon. This is what you use. This is what you do. This is where you can go to Tractor Supply and get some ivermectin. It'll help you to help the people that are helping the cats and keeping them out of your facility. So that was just a thought, but thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Hello. My name is Dina Cohen. I work with Florida's Forgotten Felines with Susan Carmichael. I'm a volunteer and adoption coordinator. And the points I would like to mention today involve when, I know it's the policy when a community cat comes into ACC that, like DOA or injured, that the trapper is never notified of that. And I understand that they are not our property. They are the property of the community and of the town and the county. But we do love these cats. Not all of the trappers, obviously, but many of them, of us. We put our heart and soul into feeding them, into caring for them for years, day in and day out. And when one of them goes missing, it's hard. It's hard for us. We grieve and we wonder what happened to them. And it would be so great if that cat was brought into ACC, if we would just receive a phone call about it. So, and also perhaps have the opportunity to come and pick the cat up if they need extensive vetting that you can't provide, for financial reasons. I don't think it's hard to do that. And I know not all trappers want that. Some trappers bring in cats to be TNR'd, and they don't want the responsibility afterwards, or they don't care, enough. But some of them do. Some of us do. So maybe, like on the intake form, there could be a box that we could check off. Would you like to be notified if this cat was ever brought into animal care and control? And then we would have that opportunity to get that done. So that would be great. So that was one point. The second one concerns return to field. I know that a lot of times when cats are being returned to field by you guys, by ACC, they're not dropped off exactly where they were trapped. Sometimes they're dropped off like in a region or a block or at the entrance of an HOA of a community. And while some cats will find their way back to their feeding area, many cats just don't. It's not all cats that have that capability of traveling to the spot. Some of them just get very lost, confused, or they have to cross a street or a yard that might have a dog. And I just don't see why they cannot be dropped off exactly where they're trapped. It just seems like something that can be done also quite easily. So that's about it. And thank you for having this wonderful program. And thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Dina.
You're welcome.
All right, so we still have some time. It's only about 20 after 8. Anybody have any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm a gun owner. If a rogue dog comes onto my property, even if it's a neighbor's dog, and starts attacking one of my cats to kill it, do I have the right to kill the dog with my firearm?
You want to come up so we can, I couldn't hear, I want to hear every detail that you said. I heard bits and pieces.
My question was, if a rogue dog, even someone's pet, comes onto my property, I'm a gun owner, do I have the right to shoot that dog and kill it if it is attacking my cat? If it has my cat in its jaws and it's about to kill it?
If the dog is on your property, you have the right to protect your property.
And that includes my cats?
If it's your cat and it's on your property, you have the right to protect your property.
Including lethal?
If that's what it comes to, yes. But you need to try to do, I'm sure a police officer is going to be the one that you would really want to speak with that in regards to that. But as far as from our standpoint, as long as it was done not intentionally to harm that animal and it was to protect your property, whether it be yourself or your animals.
Okay. The reason why that question came to mind was what I believe Tammy brought that issue up with a woman who's faced with these dogs going onto her property and killing her cats, her property. So if she was a gun owner and she killed that dog or those dogs, she would be in her right, it sounds like.
Well, with that situation, the cat, she's not even at the property, and if they're community cats and they were free roaming,
It doesn't protect community cats then?
as far as,
If you're the feeder and they come on your property to be fed?
honestly, I don't want to say if for community cats, it's pertaining to property.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so in the state of Florida, animals that you own are your property. The way our ordinance is written is that community cats are the community's property. So that would be a fine line. One of the things to look at might be some non-lethal deterrents. Capsicum spray, any of the pepper sprays, especially the things like OC10 that are the bear sprays. For those of you who might be in areas where you would be uncomfortable with loose dogs, I think that might actually be a better immediate response, because no dog likes to be sprayed with OC10, and it's not lethal, but it will get them away. And even if they don't get away, they're going to not be able to see, and they're going to be dealing with their face even if they're 5 feet away from you.
I love dogs too. I grew up with Irish setters in the 70s, don't get me wrong, but I've had that situation where neighbors' dogs have come, they're hunting dogs, and by good fortune, our cats weren't out there. But if they were, they would have been attacked and killed.
Yeah, so if they are your owned cats where you've purchased your rabies tags, or they are your cats, not community cats, it's a little clearer. I think the issue is around the community cats from my understanding of the federal or the Florida state laws on animals as property.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Hi again. So I have a question relating to what he said. So many times, one of our community cats will be adopted, either by ourselves or somebody else, and they're no longer a community cat, but they do have an ear tip. So what can we do to assure that if that cat is ever found, you know, I have a few in my apartment that were ones that we were feeding, and they got injured, or for whatever reason I had to take them in, and they were not able to be returned to the colony. So they're my babies now. And I do not let my cats out, so I can't anticipate that they will ever get lost. But what if they did and they were brought to ACC, since you don't have the policy of calling the trapper? How do I make them mine?
So one of the things we have dealt with this with a couple of folks where they have adopted community cats, and then they contact us, or they bring the cat in, scan it. If it's a community cat, we can transfer that microchip ownership. Susan is one, if you can grab the microphone.
Yeah, so basically what would happen is a community cat would now be put into your name, registered as your cat. The chip would be put under you, and you would buy a license for it.
Okay, now do I have to bring that cat in, because some of the cats are still feral, but they're indoor ferals at that point?
We would have to know the microchip. number.
Yeah, well, that we would know, but so they don't have to be brought in to you physically.
It's just easier for us if you don't have the microchip, that we can scan it and then transfer it in. But if you know the microchip,
Yeah, of course.
then Susan can do that.
Okay, thank you.
I just, in regards to the targeted trappings that you have been doing, I know that there's like a list. Do you have a lot of places where you're planning to continue to do it this year? Or, because I know we have to go back to some places to finish, but I know that more and more get added. Like, are there areas that you know that they are problematic and that you can tell us so we can work trying to control them before they get worse while waiting for their time?
That was pretty sneaky. Just
I know
slide it
Katanya
under
works
the
on the, Katanya handles the list as to where we go.
Okay.
So as of right now, I do have a list going. We are going off of like what was on the graph for those zip codes. We are primarily trying to stay in the mobile home parks because when we do targeted hotspot trapping for a mobile home park, we can go in there and speak to the property manager and get permission to trap on every single property. Where when you deal with single family homes, you have to go and get permission from every single person. So I do have a list. I know we still have Lantana Cascades that we need to go back and finish, but my objective would be to kind of still go back to where we started. And if you've seen in Pickwick, we need to go do another night because we're seeing more that are coming out, then we can do that. That's what this Facebook group is going to be for. It's for you guys to communicate with me, and we can kind of keep that running list of where we need to hit up for those targeted areas and where you're seeing places. And then we can bring it back to the team and assess where we need to go and what we have.
Yeah, because if it's going to be like once a month, by the time you get to one spot, the first spot is going to be again a problem. But if you would let us know, like what areas you think they need, maybe we will be able to start doing something like, at least identifying which places inside those communities they need help, immediate help.
And that's exactly what this group is going to be.
Okay. All right,
on
great.
this date, we're going to be hitting this area. So if you're already out there scoping, you can say, hey, I've got 5 streets.
Okay, great.
So.
All right, that's good. Thank you.
Are you willing to do businesses? Business plaza?
I think anything's up for bid at this point. Right now, we're just trying to test out the waters and see what we can come up with because our hotspot targeted events would not be anything without you guys. So getting that information back, if you know of a business, let me know. We'll go check it out.
Just wanted to follow up on the Facebook group that's going to be created. I personally am not a member of the group. I've never been able to go into ACC and have 10 cats done, and I've never had a dedicated person to talk to who will understandingly accept 10 cats and give me 2 traps here and do all of that. So I'd like to be part of a group, if not the targeted trapping group. So can I request that we have a group for the other people? I don't know, how many people are targeted trapper people? Three of 30 people. Like I don't have the ability to bring a cat to ACC and get it TNR'd. They tell me about 3 months down the road.
No,
And
no. If you're a trapper and you're doing an area and you need multiple spots, call me. Because
Okay.
I try to accommodate all the
I don't
trappers.
have your number and I don't know your name, and there's no way to contact anyone because I call ACC and they talk to me about June. And I think I've tried to schedule stuff and it's like, oh, you get the spiel of, oh, we're not doing it right now. We may start up later, and so I go to Peggy Adams and I try and I log on at, 12:59 and 45 seconds and try to get traps, and then I show up every, and we don't know if we're going to get 7 or 3 or 2 or, 15 cats show up and we have, 3 spots. So I'd like to be part of that communication scheme that may have some transport help, that may have places to store cats overnight, that may be willing to come out if we happen to be trapping 6 cats and we discover 3 other trappers trapping in a circular area. We did that last night. We met one trapper. There's like 5 cats, and then he's like, oh yeah, there's this guy who does this circuit directly around where we're currently trapping that I had no idea existed. And, oh, he's been doing this for 30 years. I would like to have the ability to tell someone about that who can say, oh, yeah, we can put them on our list, or I want to be part of that group. Maybe it's not the targeted trapper group, but it's another communication group that's organized by ACC where a dedicated TNVR aware person I can talk to and email and not wait 3 months to get an answer. Or if I have an injured cat, I can say, hey, can I bring this cat in and we'll foster it at our house, but can you help with an enucleation or whatever? I'd like to have that ability to talk with someone other than the front desk people who may or may not even know that there's a TNVR program going on. So can you have another group other than the targeted trapper group? Because there's only 3 of us that are doing that with you.
So I do the scheduling for the space shuttle program. So if you're familiar with the space shuttle, there is a dedicated space shuttle line that a lot of the trappers are familiar with.
I've never called it and got a real person.
You'll get it, well, all you have to do is leave a voicemail with me because I return my calls every day.
Okay.
If you need multiple spots, if you're trapping a multiple group, I will accommodate you as best I can.
Okay.
We normally do trapping for TNVR on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Good to know. I did not know that. And I've been trapping for years. So, and one other thing, I don't know what happened, but why, if we pick up a last call cat or kitten from ACC, why did ACC stop spaying or neutering those kittens when they were old enough to be spayed or neutered? Why was that program stopped?
So with the last call, those are the animals that are on urgent rescue requests because there's usually some medical concern. And it is not a good idea to do a spay or neuter on a sick animal. So that's where they go on to urgent rescue. We are trying to work with Elizabeth out at Barky Pines and Ellen at Darbster, who will also, when those cats are well, if you've pulled that animal from us, then 30 to 60 days after they've healed up from whatever was causing the problem, you can make an appointment with them to get the free spay or neuter through them.
Because I had heard that, and it was said that that program was stopped, where the rescues no longer had the ability to get their rescues from ACC last call, which helps you in your numbers.
We just don't do it while they're sick, when they're last call animals.
I'm not asking you to do it while they're sick. I said, we take the cat, we fix it, we make it better, it's ready to get spayed or neutered. We were told, and I don't know if it's still that way, maybe it changed back, but there was a policy, it was written online that says your rescue cats could be spayed or neutered when that you could book them to come back in. And that's where I actually know about the space shuttle, because I have brought a few of them back in. We were told that that was cut. You can't do it anymore.
What we've done is we can't do it at our shelter because I don't know if y'all are aware of how many dogs we have. We are so absolutely jam-packed with dogs that all of our veterinary resources at the shelter, we're dealing with the shelter dogs. So that's where we've expanded our contracts with Barky Pines and Darbster to also do the rescue cats that we can't do right now because our vet resources are doing dogs day in.
So you
day
don't
out.
TNVR anything at ACC right
No,
now?
We do TNVR.
We do
So you are
100
spaying cats there?
Oh, yeah.
So, but the rescue kittens,
We do the animals that are coming in that are, admitted to our program, that are shelter animals. We also take in, over 100 TNVR animals every month, and that's an average. There's many months that we're above that. So we're doing things like that every single day. So it does come to capacity when the surgery book is full and we've added extra on, there's no more room.
so if rescue kittens are taken from ACC,
We ask that you work with one of our partners to bring it back to them in a timely fashion.
And it
Because
will
we're
be done at-
inundated. Because we have to remember, our number one priority is to the animals that are in the shelter first.
but the rescue gets stuck with paying for it.
No, that's why we, actually, for anybody who's gone to BCC recently, that's why we fought for the $200,000 contract to do that, because we don't have the resources at ACC to do the animals once they've left the shelter, because we're prioritizing and triaging the animals within the shelter. And so once they leave the shelter, if they're animals that came from us, that's why those contracts were put in place, so that people can go back and get the free spay or neuter for those cats.
So it is free again.
Yes.
And it's posted online that it is free in your policy on ACC page.
So what ended up happening is when we were down to 2 veterinarians and 200 dogs, we had to make decisions on what we could do. So we had to, anything that left the shelter, we had to focus on just the shelter animals. We've now hired, we've got 4 full-time clinical vets, chief of vet services, and some part-time vets, and we have 5 contracts. So we have a lot more services than we had even just 18 months ago.
So the partners will be able to do the rescued last call cats that the rescues take at no additional charge.
Correct. Now, that's only for the contracts of the ones that I negotiated after we had to cut off things. So, for instance, Peggy Adams doesn't, because their contract was written before that.
They never did, so.
But I'm saying
yeah.
the only ones that I've negotiated since then is Barky Pines with Elizabeth and Ellen at Darbster. So those 2 will take the rescue cats. You just have to have the A number that shows that it was rescued from us.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No worries.
You just answered my question. We've recently pulled a couple of last calls. So just give them the A number and they'll know that it was a last call.
Yep, just tell them it's a rescue pull from ACC, that you've got the A number. Both Ellen and Elizabeth are very familiar with that.
Excellent. All right, that's great to know because the one we just pulled, there was no way he could have been neutered. We pulled Moog, the one that had the really bad mange.
Oh,
so,
yeah, the one with all the face where he's...
yeah, he's already doing better.
Okay.
He's already doing better. He got his coconut oil massage the other day, so
Oh, great.
he's doing a lot better. Thank you. That's good to know.
All right, I think we're kind of out of time unless there's any other comments, questions. If anybody does have any further ones, please email me. If you need contact information, email me and I'll get you in touch with the individual at our shelter that will help you. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time.